Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on the Everlast Spark boxing gloves. So stay tuned. Hey guys, Carlo here, and today I'm doing a review on the Everlast Spark boxing gloves. I got mine in the all black colorway with some gray and red accents. 16 ounces, and it is a Velcro closure only glove. You can get this anywhere between 12, 14, and 16 ounces, and I believe they have 7 different colorways. Just go to the Everlast website and you can check it out there. I'll put the link in the description box for those of you that are interested. This glove is manufactured in China. It utilizes a synthetic outside casing, so synthetic leather and injected molded foam for the foam composition inside the hand compartment. Now this particular glove, I've had several of you guys request to do a review on it. Is a entry-level budget-minded glove. I'd say it rests somewhere between the Everlast core gloves, which were $29 and were like a layered foam type of glove, and their pro style training glove, which I believe is about $44, and that uses layered foams. And that's probably one of the most popular gloves you see like at fitness type boxing gyms, or people that are just beginning in boxing and went to their local Walmart and picked up a pair of those gloves. Those are probably the most common you see at local department stores, like I said, Walmart, Target, Dick's Sporting Goods, Big Five, at least here in the United States, and it may be different for you guys overseas, but that's kind of the common glove you see. And sometimes you see these Spark gloves too, but they're a little bit less common. Now, looking at this glove design-wise, I'd say that it has a medium profile in terms of the width and the height of the glove. So it's not overly huge, and it's not a super compact glove either. You can see that it has kind of a satin finish when it comes to the polyurethane outside casing, and it's the same material you'll find in all of the other Everlast synthetic gloves as well. It's okay. It's not the most premium when it comes to synthetic, and quite frankly, I've found over time, especially with wear and tear, this material out of a lot of the synthetics I've seen tends to dry out and it ends up ripping. You have the Everlast logo on the back of the glove, nothing too crazy there. And you also have a 2-inch Velcro strap on the back of the glove, Everlast logo, and you have kind of this gray circle design that kind of fades. So it starts off on that side and then kind of wraps around onto this side. Coming down to the wrist section, you have, I'd say, about 3/4 of an inch of dense padding. Feels like EVA or rubber sheet on the back of the wrist. Standard polyester liner on the inside, nothing crazy there. 16-ounce tag. Doesn't have an indicator where it's made, but on the actual packaging it does show that it's made in China. The inside of the wrist is right at about maybe 1/4 of an inch of that same density padding, and you can see it comes up and it ends right where the mesh begins. On this side, same thing, ends up where the mesh begins, and you can see that it does have somewhat of a tapered Velcro strap. To me, it doesn't really do much in terms of wrist support. To me, it's a little bit more on the aesthetics. You do have the mesh palm that you see in a lot of the entry-level Everlast gloves. I'm not a huge fan of that, and that tends to rip over time. You also have a pretty good sized grip bar on the grip bar compartment, and a attached thumb that is nylon. More of the same kind of circular fade design on the thumb area right there. And then the molded foam. The molded foam they use in here actually has a nice density to it. I'll give Everlast credit for that. It's not overly stiff, and you can see it has a little bit more of a medium feel to it when it comes to molded foam. So I definitely like that in regards to this glove. Some of the gloves you get like from Ringside. I've even had some molded foam gloves I got. I believe it was from Ring to Cage a while back, and the molded foam was just like rock solid and a little bit too stiff. Good for shock absorption, but just not for any kind of feedback. So that's pretty much that. Quality-wise, I mean, it's standard entry-level Everlast. Kind of get what you pay for with this. You know, if you're looking at it just from like an attention to detail standpoint, they're not bad. You know, some of the stitching is kind of coming loose. The weight actually wasn't too far off. So these are 16 ounce, and I believe when I weighed these in, they were like at 15.5 and 15.8 ounces. So as far as weight goes, they're not too far off from being a 16-ounce glove. The wrist support is pretty bad. You can see here that it's pretty much non-existent, and obviously this piece right here, you know, they put that in there to try to give you a little bit of support, but the main issue is this midsection, especially with this mesh material is pretty weak in the inside right here. So this middle section is just super floppy, not very rigid at all, and it's obviously a top-heavy glove. But just to show you guys the stitching, doesn't look too bad. The mesh palm doesn't look too bad there either. Obviously, they're gonna cheap out on the attached thumb. The stitching on the palm side, the grip bar, you can see it's a little bit crooked right there on that side underneath the grip bar. The material on the thumb where it meets the index finger, you guys can see there. I don't have any bubbling issues with this yet, so that's a good thing from using these on the heavy bag. Typically molded foam, you start getting these little lumps, but I haven't had any issues with that with these gloves yet. The logo looks good on the back of the glove. Yeah, so there you have it. Not too bad for an entry-level synthetic glove. Weight's a little off. The midsection of the glove is pretty floppy. But that's pretty much where I would leave it at that in terms of quality. Obviously, the nylon for the attached thumb is kind of cheap. So let's go ahead and slide these on, see how they feel. Okay, so the comfort is okay. One thing I feel is the inside molded foam is the same foam I feel they use on the exterior on the striking surface. So it feels pretty stiff against the fingers, especially this portion of my hand right here. I wish they would have used maybe like a softer liner or a softer foam that sat against your hand a little bit, made it a little bit more comfortable. Thumb positioning is pretty good. It's a little bit on the short side, and you can see how it kind of curls in like that. And then when I make it fist, it kind of pulls down on the tip of the thumb. So, you know, the actual shape of it, to where it kind of curves up and in, is actually pretty comfortable. And this piece right here isn't tight. It's just that it's a little bit on the short side. So when you make a fist, again, you can feel that it kind of pulls down. And this is a 16-ounce glove, so this is going to be the largest they offer for this particular model. To me, that's a little bit of an issue in terms of comfort, especially when you land shots. And I've always said that in some of my other videos where, you know, it might feel comfortable, but the minute you actually land a punch on the bag, that's when you really can tell whether or not the glove's going to be a comfortable glove to use. You can feel the stitching on the inside right here. So again, that would have been nice to cover that up. The depth of the finger compartment is perfect, and it's not too wide or not too narrow. So in terms of the dimensions on the inside of the glove, that feels good. Wrist support's okay. You know, obviously it's pretty lackadaisical. If you're going to use these gloves, I would definitely tape your wrist off if you have any kind of issues with your hand or your forearm having an injury, pre-existing injury. But outside of that, everything else feels fine. Just that finger compartment right here, just covering that stitching, the thumb being a little bit too short, and the below average wrist support right here is probably the areas I would be the most concerned with these gloves. But the depth is definitely there, and it's not too wide or not too narrow. Protection and performance, this is more a protective glove. You do get a little bit of feedback when you're using this on the bag, you know. But I feel this is definitely more on the shock absorbing side. Hence is why they use the molded foam. But you definitely feel some of the shots coming through. One thing I'm not a big fan of when it comes to these molded foam type of gloves is this punch surface is more rounded. So sometimes you want to throw like an uppercut in, and it feels like your punch kind of glances off the surface rather than it really landing. And by that I mean if you're trying to throw an uppercut like on a standard heavy bag like this one right here, and you're coming in at an angle, sometimes it feels like it just kind of rolls off the bag rather than directly into it like at a sharp angle. So it would have been nice to have a little bit more of a flatter punching surface, in my opinion. But again, that's kind of the thing when it comes to these molded gloves. They all have that kind of bulbed, rounded off shape. Cost-wise, these gloves are $39. You know, that's entry-level price. You kind of get what you pay for. Honestly, I like the core gloves more than these, and the core gloves are actually $10 cheaper, the $29. Quality-wise, you know, they use similar synthetic. They're I guess that's pretty subjective. They could be considered not as nice looking as the Sparks. But the reason I like the cores more than these Sparks, aside from them being $10 cheaper, is the foam they use. I feel like you get better feedback. The thumb isn't an issue with the cores. Quality's about the same in terms of quality. I feel like this glove is kind of in a weird place to be, because you're in between the $44 glove, which are the pro style training gloves, which pretty much everybody gets. At least those beginner fitness boxing gyms will end up using those. And then you have those core gloves at $29. So somebody that's really on a budget that doesn't want to spend a lot of money on gloves might end up getting those. And I actually think those are better than these. So I feel like these Sparks kind of fall in this gray area that really doesn't get a lot of looks. And I feel like this is one of those gloves that probably shouldn't even be around or should be discontinued, because I don't think it really feeds any kind of void there, in my opinion. At $39. Small improvements could be made to it, but again, if it was me, I would probably bump up to the pro style training glove, or if I wanted to go a little bit cheaper and budget friendly, I would get the core over these Sparks. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Everlast Spark boxing gloves. I'll see you guys later. Take care.